This pocket pen is responsible for the best videos on my channel. It is the number one tool that I have in my gym equipment that is responsible for six packs, muscles. What? A pen responsible for something like that? This is crazy. This is clickbait. This sounds insane. Well, let me explain. If you look at the best artists, the best business people, the best scientists, the best authors, everyone from the history books, they all use these pens. They all use this. And we like to believe that the reason they use these things is because they didn't have keyboards, they didn't have computers, they didn't have phones. But I don't know if that's the reason. Well, obviously they didn't have phones, but I don't know if they would have chosen phones if they would have been able to. Here's the thing. Your ability to communicate is the most important asset you have. Every dream you have, everything that you want will be decided by other people in your life. Your bosses will decide whether or not you get a raise based on what you say, based on how you sound. If you come into the office and you are smarter and funnier and better with your words than everybody else in the office, guess what's gonna happen? Of course you're gonna get a raise. If you go out and you are, let's say, averagely good looking or even slightly ugly, but you are funnier than everybody else, you talk with more conviction than everybody else, you just sound better in every possible way, well, guess what? You will get late. We know that. We intuitively know that. And so then the question becomes, well, what is best for your communication skills? This pen or the phone, the keyboard, the computer? Because if this pen is somehow extremely good and is going to elevate your communication skills to heights you've never seen before, then perhaps we should consider using it again. So let's think about this. What is the benefit of this pen? Why would you use a pen like this? Well, if you are using a pen, what's going to happen is that you can't erase anymore. You can't erase it. You actually have to go and write with your hand, think about it prior to writing because you know you can't erase it. This is pressure. Now there's extra pressure on top of your creativity, on top of what you are going to write down. Creativity happens under pressure. Creativity happens under pressure. If I look at the best videos on this channel, the videos that get 100,000 views, and I look at how I created them, I literally made them in a half an hour with a pen, just writing a couple of outlines down, not a full script, written down like this, just a couple of outlines. And then after half an hour, I press the record button, I record it, I edit it instantly, and in less than 2 hours, the video is live. Now, if I look at the worst performing videos on my channel, I made them with a keyboard, like this one over here. I spent sometimes days adjusting, erasing things, writing things down, adjusting it again, erasing it again, starting all over from scratch. The thing about the keyboard and computers is that you can keep on erasing stuff. The reality is that the task, any task, naturally fills up the time allowed for its completion. And so if you allow erasing to happen, guess what? Erasing will happen. If you allow yourself to keep on working on a particular script, you will keep on working on a particular script. Now, here's the thing. When I was doing that, the results were absolutely ineffable. I was getting 100 views, 200 views, 400 views, max. And so, it's very funny how the videos that I put all of this time in, they don't get any views. And the videos that I put no time in whatsoever, they get all the views. And so here's what I thought. Well, let's test this theory out. Let's write a couple of videos, again, like in the old days, with a pen. Let's give myself some pressure, a time limit of 2 hours. And in 2 hours, you need to do the research, you need to write the script, the outline, you need to record it and edit it and upload it all in the same 2-hour time frame. And let's see what happens. Let's see if these videos actually get some views. And so at the end of this video, I'll share that test with you so that you can see yourself if it actually works. Now, as I was thinking about this, one of the things that surprised me about the American educational system is that they allow those children to use iPads and keyboards and computers to write all of their essays and whatever the fuck they have to write. Now, this is one of the differences between America and Europe. In Europe, children get a pen, they write their name on the pen, and that is the pen that they will use that year and many years to come. And everything that they write will be written with that pen. All of it. All of the children have the same pens. They don't have iPads, they have pens. They write it down with their hands. And Americans will call this old school, but it works tremendously well. We get the best artists. We get the best authors. America has all of this money and all of this business. And they succeed so massively in all of these business. And they are the most powerful country in the world. But for some reason, when it comes to culture, they don't win. They lose. And it's because of these old school principles that we have in Europe. Here's the thing. When you allow children to write, and look, back in the days that I was in school, children would literally get bullied because their handwriting wasn't beautiful enough. The thing about handwriting is that if you watch the handwriting without reading the handwriting, you already know whether or not it is beautiful. Because visually speaking, some handwriting is ugly and some handwriting is beautiful. And so what does that do with the child? Well, the child knows that it needs to write something that is beautiful, as simple as that. The thing about blog posts nowadays and text messages and anything that you write and that gets printed out, all of that looks the same. It all looks the same. It's all the same Times New Roman font on a piece of paper. It looks the same. There's no bullying. You have to actually read the words prior to the bullying. Like this variety that you have with handwriting gets lost, and there's a lot that gets lost with that. One of the things that I like to ask myself is the type of evolution that we are seeing actually positive? Is it actually good? Because in the 21st century, we value evolution, we value progress, we value science, we value technology, all of those things that sometimes do great things for sure, but sometimes throw the child with the bathing water away. And so let's think about this. What happened when we got rid of movement, natural movement with the bike, with going by foot and all? Okay, this is another similarity, not similarity. This is not a difference between America and Europe. In Europe, we have movement. People go to the bakery by foot. People use the bike. There are actually bike lanes and stuff like that, So we didn't took movement away entirely. And what is the difference between America and Europe? Well, in Europe, we don't have that obesity pandemic. We just don't have it. In America, everybody is fat. All of them, everyone, it's insane. And so what do you get if you allow evolution or progress or cars to go a little bit too far? If you allow that to happen, you get obesity pandemics. And then the question becomes, well, what if we allow that type of progress to happen when it comes to communication, when it comes to writing? Will we get an obesity pandemic in writing and communication? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. But here's what I think. Language might be the most important thing in the world. Communication might be the most important thing in the world because you think as a human being with language. There is an inner dialogue in your brain as you are solving problems, as you are doing things, you are thinking in language. And so what happens? If you improve your language, you improve your thinking. And what happens if you improve your thinking? Well, you improve your ability to solve problems, aka your ability to improve your life, because life is nothing more than a series of problems that need some solving. What happens if we allow GPT to come? What happens if we go further than introducing the phone, but we go as far as to introduce AI, a tool that can communicate better than human, better than not GPT-4 or 5. Those tools are rudimentary, beginner level, first grade children, if you ask me. So these are not tools. But what happens if GPT-6 or 7 or 8 can in fact communicate properly? Well, what happens is that people will start using it. People will not use the bike anymore to go to the bakery. They will start using GPT. They will start replacing all of their communication with GPT communication. And what happens if you don't communicate anymore? Well, you don't train your communication skills anymore. And what happens if you don't train your communication skills anymore? Well, you will not think properly with that inner dialogue, with the language inside of your head. And if you don't think properly anymore, well, you don't solve problems anymore. If you don't solve problems anymore, your life doesn't improve anymore. And more importantly, if you can't communicate and everything around you can communicate, if the advertisements can communicate better than you, then what happens? Well, they will convince you to do things that you don't even want to be doing in the first place. Why is somebody obese? Why? Let's think about this. Why are they obese? Well, there is a billboard that is convincing them to eat a Big Mac. That's why. Their inner dialogue is weaker than the billboards. As simple as that. If their inner dialogue that tells them to eat healthy would be more convincing than the advertisement, then the advertisement wouldn't control them. And so here's the thing. If everybody starts using GPT, and their communication skills become so poor they can't communicate anymore, then what you create is pure slavery. The people with the money will be able to put the ads in front of your face. And if the ads in front of your face communicate better than your own inner dialogue, the ads will control your life. You will execute as you are being told by advertisements. And so GPT will then, in fact, become a form of slavery. Just like obesity is a form of slavery. Let's call a cat a cat. Okay, there's an elephant in the room. This is one of the things that I don't like about the 21st century. We have fat people all over the place. We have fat people all over the place. We have an obesity pandemic that's nuts. Potentially the biggest disease we've ever seen. Potentially the most detrimental to health. You can't call it out. There's an elephant standing in the room, but nobody can talk about it because there's this woke mob that is going to come after you, that is going to cancel you, that is going to slap you in the face if you even think about talking about it. Anyway, what is the most foundational, quintessential aspect of obesity? Is it the desire to eat? Is it the laziness, a lack of discipline, sleep, particular genetic dispositions, whatever? Or is it as simple as people who are not able to convince themselves of doing the things that they know they should be doing? As simple as that. Well, I obviously don't know the answer to that question. I do know that when I look at the McDonald's advertisement billboard, I think it's stupid. I laugh with it. It's first grade communication at best. It's stupid. Of course, it's not going to convince me in any way, shape, or form. It's the words on the billboard don't make any sense. It's complete and utter crap. Of course, it's not going to convince me. And so, look, am I suggesting that something as simple as a pen, something as simple as this, is going to solve obesity? Of course not. But it will for some. Improving your communication skills for some people that are suffering from this will in fact solve the whole fucking goddamn thing. Now, by the way, there's obviously a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. I'm not an expert. I'm extremely dumb. Nobody should ever listen to me. When it comes to health, I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. And all of the other things that the AI companies and the fast food companies and the medical industry wants me to say in a video like this, please do not listen to me. That said, I do have some experience when it comes to working out. I work out all of the time, and I can tell you the following thing. When I started to work out, this was almost 10 years ago. I'm 21, I'm studying in Germany, and I hadn't had sex for 3 years. And so I desperately needed to get laid in some kind of way. I needed to seduce girls. And so I thought by myself, well, if I look jacked, if I look in shape, perhaps I will find a partner. And by the way, you're on Erasmus. Of course, that is one of the things that you want to be doing. Of course, it's one of the main desires in the masculine brain at the age of 21. And so I start working out. I start doing sit-ups every single day, push-ups every single day. And as much as I would want to tell you that this was the starting point, and that from that point on, I only became healthier and checked and all of that stuff. And the images that you see are actually from that time. This is not true. What happened is that 2 months later, I quit. 2 months later, I quit. And it would take many more years before I would have a six-pack. And the difference between me having a six-pack and me not having a six-pack has everything to do with the argument that I had when it came to convincing myself to work out. Here's the thing. If you go to the gym and you ask all of the noobs, why are you going to the gym? And for some reason, they will tell you the truth. Imagine that they would tell you the truth. If they would tell you the truth, then they would say the same thing that I was thinking when I was studying in Germany. To get the girls, to seduce the girls. And then if you go back to that same gym 6 months later, 8 months later, 9 months later, you know how many of those noobs are still there? Zero. Nobody. Because it's not a good argument. Anybody who has trained his communication skills knows immediately this is a bullshit argument. Of course not. Of course, this is not going to work. This is not convincing yourself in any profound way. And so these rudimentary, weak-ass arguments, they don't work. And so what is the difference between me having a six-pack and me not having a six-pack? Well, it's as simple as me being convincing and me not being convincing. In one scenario, I've trained my communication skills and became convincing. And the things that I told myself, the reasons I gave myself to go to the gym, to go and work out, were profound. They were powerful. They were deep. The reasons that I had when I was 21, they were futile, superficial, stupid reasons. And so, am I saying that one of the most powerful things you can do to get jacked is actually train your communication skills? Yes, I do believe that. I do actually believe that. Now, about the promise I made in the beginning of this video, I'm of course a man that values language, that values my own words. The promise I made to test out a video where in a time frame, a time limit of 2 hours, I would do the research, do the outline, and the recording, and the editing, and the publishing, all in 2 hours. And let there be no mistake. If you think that that video is somewhat decent, you don't have an excuse yourself. You can just go with the flow immediately. Now, if you want to watch that video to see for yourself if this strategy or this system of pressure actually works, well, too bad you can't, because you just did. It was this video that said, get the hell out of here.